Do you want to take control of your finances, but you don't want to deprive yourself of the things that you enjoy? Maybe you've already made your own budget, but that didn't work. You've tried other methods and they still don't work. You're left frustrated, overwhelmed, and more out of control of your finances than ever. Enter zero-based budgeting, where the goal is to spend every single penny or dime whilst breaking free from living paycheck to paycheck so that you can pave your way to financial freedom. By the end of this video, you will understand the key concepts of zero-based budgeting, understand the pros and cons, know all the steps needed to implement this method, the common challenges and how to overcome them. What is zero-based budgeting? It's a method where you allocate all of your money to expenses for needs and wants, as well as savings and paying off those pesky debts. The difference between zero-based budgeting and living paycheck to paycheck is that all of your financial goals are met. Peter Farr, or Furr, apologies for the pronunciation, he's known as the father of zero-based budgeting, developed this idea in the late 1960s while he was an account manager at Texas Instruments. Yes, those fancy graphing calculators that bamboozle a lot of us at school. If you know how to use them, let me know in the comments. Many Fortune 500 companies like Kraft Heinz and Unilever have since adopted this budgeting technique, so you're in good company. How is this different from traditional budgeting? Well, with zero-based budgeting, you start each budget for the new period starting from zero. For companies, that means they need to justify each expense every single time before adding it to the new budget period, even if it's an old and reoccurring expense. You can apply the same approach to your personal budget, and we'll show you how in just a moment. But first, let's quickly look at the pros and cons. Let's start off with the pros. I like to be positive. Flexible. Every new budget period allows you to adjust your spending because life isn't constant. Up to date. Being forced to review your spending frequently means that those forgotten subscriptions that are draining your bank account have nowhere to hide. Intentional. Justifying every penny or cent for the next budget period makes you really think about how you spend your money. A clean slate every budget period. This is powerful. If you aren't able to stick to your budget in a given month, you get a do-over. Like respawning from your favourite computer game, you get another go. And now the cons. It leans towards short-term goals, i.e. focusing only on the next budget period. It's time-intensive. To review the budget every period takes time and effort. And it may require more work if you have an irregular income. But don't worry, stay tuned to the end where we share the top tips to make the process as easy as possible. You will need a calculator, pen and paper. If you're more tech savvy, you can use a spreadsheet, budgeting software or app. Step 1. Determine your monthly income. This includes all the money you bring in. Think salary, side hustles, bonuses. If you have an irregular income each month, look at the last 3 months and choose the lowest income amount. Step 2. List out all your monthly expenses. Start with the absolute essentials like food, utilities, shelter and transportation. Add other utilities, insurance, debt, childcare, pet care. These are your needs. You need to pay these. Then move on to non-essentials or wants, like entertainment, hobbies and eating out. And don't forget to budget for your money goals such as building an emergency fund, long-term savings and short-term savings, like that holiday. See, it's not all about depriving yourself. Step 4. You've got more than zero. First, throw some confetti and do a celebration dance. Now, make that extra cash work for you depending on your money goals. It can go towards debt, building that emergency fund, saving for a dream holiday or your short-term savings goals, or investments, long-term savings goals. We talk about money goals for different stages in your life in another video. So we'll leave links in the description below if you want to check that out next. But what happens if you end up with a minus figure? Don't panic. This is where you get your financial scissors out and get trimming. Snip, snip. Like what you're hearing so far? Give us a like so we know that you want more of this type of content. Now back to budgeting. Go back to your wants, entertainment and hobbies and see if you can find areas to cut back. Maybe start cooking at home more often and eat out only once a month or every other month. Make coffee from home to take with you on the way to work instead of stopping by at Starbucks. Other coffee chains are available. Don't forget to look at your debts. Do you have the lowest possible interest on the debts that you do owe? If you really can't cut back any more on your expenses, Think of ways where you can increase your income. Can you get paid overtime at work? Maybe get a second job or start a side hustle. Remember, we're aiming to get the balance to zero or as close to zero as we can. Step 5. Track your spending for the entire month. You can't just set up the budget, leave it, and expect financial freedom to just happen, if only. Track every single transaction. If you make £100 from your side hustle, add that money to your income category. When you pay the rent or mortgage, subtract that expense from shelter. When you fill up your car, subtract that from transportation. This is how you stay on top of your spending. Step 6. Towards the end of the month, but before the start of the new month, you're going to want to prepare a new budget. By this point, you should have a clear picture of where your money has been spent, and it's time to review and rebudget for the next month. If you've underspent in a category, you can choose if you want to roll the extra money into the same category or a different category for next month's budget. If you overspent in a category, was it a one-off event, or do you need to rebudget that category? Maybe you've underspent in one category and overspent in another, so actually now they've balanced each other out. If that's the case, and you want to take that forward, just update the amount in both categories for the next month. If overall you didn't quite keep within your budget, it's okay. You get a clean slate for the next month. You should find budgeting for the second month a bit quicker, as you already have a list of your essentials and needs. If no amounts for your needs have changed, just copy that over into the next month's budget. If some amounts of your needs have changed, like your water bill has gone up, adjust the amount. There's no need to justify those expenses for the next month. See what I did there? If you have overspent in your first month's budget, your wants, such as entertainment and hobbies, should be the first place that you should review and justify your expenses. Be accountable to your future self. Will your future self in 6 or 12 months' time approve of keeping all those 3 streaming subscriptions over clearing credit card debt? If after all that justifying and reviewing, you are still getting a predicted minus figure, then and only then review the amount you are putting towards money goals. You want to keep paying off your debts and saving for your emergency fund, but that dream holiday may have to wait a bit longer. Remember, the aim is to get to zero, or as close as you can. One of the biggest hurdles people face when starting zero-based budgeting is that it can feel overwhelming. There are so many categories to keep track of, and it's hard to know where to start. So our top tip is to start small. Focus on 1 or 2 areas at a time. For example, you might start tracking your food expenses. That's groceries, not eating out, don't cheat. And then move on to your transportation costs. By breaking it down to smaller chunks, you can make the process feel less daunting. Another challenge people face when starting a zero-based budgeting is dealing with unexpected expenses. Maybe your car breaks down, or you have a medical emergency. Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. Instead, focus on adjusting your budget to accommodate the new expense. Remember, this is why you have been building your emergency fund in the first place. Use it. If you don't have an emergency fund, or it isn't enough to cover the amount, you can temporarily reallocate funds from other categories or make some lifestyle changes to free up more money. Another challenge people face is that it can be hard to adjust to your new spending habits. It's easy to get used to spending a certain amount on things like eating out or entertainment, and it can be hard to cut back. But remember that every single penny or cent you save is a step closer to achieving your financial freedom. And it's not about depriving yourself of things you enjoy, it's about being intentional with your money. When you start to see results, and you start to see your savings grow or your debt shrink, it's going to feel incredible. It's like a weight being lifted off your shoulders and you can finally start to breathe a little easier. Have you started using zero budgeting in your own life? Share your experiences in the comments below. We'll love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.